Word from my producer that in the 5 minutes or so since you started talking about hashtag TFA, not surprisingly, social media has picked up on that.
Oh.
Do you care to mention people with whom you use that, or was it just kind of general, anybody might pick up on it? Was it a known hashtag, TFA meaning 25th Amendment?
Yes, absolutely. I thank God I had those text chains for so very long. I was able to go back and actually look from the campaign all the way to now, and it really helped me to see how people thought. But
I don't want any family, by the way. I don't care about family. I mean, I do, but that's your family. That's fine.
Well, I never talk about them because I think that they're going to have to account.
Right.
Ivanka and Jared will have to account for, how they set by and allow some of the most critical decisions to happen. But the people in the administration who kind of made light of the 25th Amendment also knew that the Republican Congress would never vote to impeach Donald Trump. So with that as the backdrop, I think that's why TFA became kind of like, a joke in the sense of if he said something crazy or did something crazy, that was the way we kind of comforted ourselves.
Any sense that anyone participating in the hashtag TFA was at the level, the stature of a cabinet member or the vice president or anybody, even in verbal passing, not necessarily in a text exchange with you?
These are all, so I was an assistant to the president, so peer-to-peer. Assistant to the president, underneath that are deputy assistants, underneath that are special assistants. Those are 100 commissioned officers who make up the core of senior staff of the White House. Those are the levels that I had discussions on. I wouldn't communicate directly with cabinet members. I would go through cabinet affairs to do that. But mostly that core 100 commissioned officers are where that dialogue took place.
Do you have a sense, Omarosa, that there was a real, a deep or a legitimate conversation about the 25th Amendment among higher-ups?
I believe so. You have to look at his cabinet. Let's just go back, Alex, and look at the cabinet. These were people that he fought viciously against in the campaign, that he called names, the things he said about Carson or any of his other opponents. Now they're sitting in a position where they could exact revenge on Donald Trump if they wanted to. It all starts with the cabinet. And who has the most to gain but Vice President Pence? Now, he said that he is not involved in it. Okay, we'll take him at his word, but let's look at his staff and some of the things they did, like setting up a PAC to raise money for him while he's in office. Unprecedented for any vice president to do, to see some of the actions that his office took. So let's go back to the 25th Amendment. Mm-hmm. It all starts with his cabinet. And we've seen validation in some of the previous books, but particularly Woodward's book, who talk about these cabinet members who express shock at some of the decisions that Donald Trump has attempted to make, some of the things he said, his lack of understanding or comprehension. That all starts with the men and women who sit around that cabinet. I said in every cabinet meeting while I was in the White House, had an opportunity to observe him, and I can tell you that behind his back, they were very uncertain about his leadership.
Would that extend to members of the vice president's staff who, look, he has denied writing this op-ed, but the reality is maybe someone on his staff did. Is that possible that something like that could be written, submitted to the New York Times, and remain out of the vice president's purview?
Until Nick Ayers arrived last year, I would have said no. But Nick Ayers is the key to all of the decisions that Vice President Pence makes. And if anyone takes just a cursory Google search of who Nick Ayers and how much power he wields in Republican circles, you'll understand why I lean towards this op-ed coming out of that office.
Can you give me some examples quickly for viewers who don't know?
His attachment to mega donors, his strategic working in terms of getting people in place for key offices, his work with media ad buys, and his work with getting people to be pushed back against when they're running. I'm being careful because I heard from inside how very upset Nick Ayers got that I called him out by name, as well as Johnny DeStefano and Andrew Bimber. But America deserves to know the truth because, Alex, the truth still matters. And once you just take a look, just take 5 minutes to Google Nick Ayers, you'll understand why I suspect that it could come from that circle.
I'm going to ask you one final question, that being, with the descriptions of this White House represented in your book, the op-ed, other books, and what you've experienced, can you see this president, A, lasting to the end of his presidency, or B, taking on another 4 years?
Well, I think having talked to the Mueller team, I understand that Donald Trump has no idea the direction of this investigation. He has no clue what's coming down the pike. And so I think it's highly doubtful that because of their key lack of understanding of the direction of this investigation, that he will, in fact, complete his entire term as President of the United States.
Omarosa, author of Unhinged. Thank you for the conversation.
Number one.
We'll talk about this again. I know,
Yes.
right? Good for you. Thank you so much. And coming up after the break, everyone, we're going to get a reaction to what I just discussed with Omarosa. Stay with us.